Okay, now we'll discuss the one of the major notification under EPA 1986 Environment Protection Act 1986, that is Environment Impact Assessment. As we embark on new journey as a nation in the post COVID-19 era, with several initiatives being announced on kickstart of economy, there have been debates and divergence of opinions about the seriousness of government in its approach towards environmental and climate change issues. One such issues being discussed widely is new notification of EIA, which came into 2020, being it is being circulated for the public comment and the feedback. Now we'll in this part we'll discuss the concept, history, inherent conflicts involved in entire process of undertaking EIAs, and probably the measures to resolve such conflicts. If we talk about the history of EIA and how it's been evolved, as I have already mentioned in earlier slides, that a series of events since 1960 has led to growth the environmental awareness and hence activism globally. These events triggered concern regarding the long term impacts of growing industrialization, urbanization, and pressure on natural resources on the planet and the people. As I already mentioned, that Rachel Carson's Silent Springs, published in 1962, in which the harmful effects of pesticides were first brought to the public attention, is often credited for launching the modern environmental movement. The critique to technology and harmful effects it has been on the environment and the sustainability continued throughout the 60s and eventually led to the evaluation of practice of environment assessment and management. This moment culminated into the creation of Environment Protection Agency in July 1970 in the United States, and similar measures and the institutional framework were adopted in over 100 countries over the next 20 years. Now if we talk about the principal environmental assessment, it can be undertaken for individual projects such as dam, motorways, airport, and the factory, and call it as environment impact assessment. There is one more term called SEA, that is strategic environmental assessment, which was first surfaced during the ESPO convention in Finland in 1991. It is a systematic process for evaluating the environmental implications of the proposed policy, plan, or program, and provides means for looking at cumulative effects and appropriately address them in the earliest stage of decision making alongside the social and environmental consideration. It was first laid down in 1991, but in 2003 the ESPO convention was supplemented by a protocol on this strategic environmental assessment. So if we talk about the SCA and EIA, we should know the difference between what is the difference between EIA and SCA. Now we'll talk about the EIA. It is usually a reactive to a developmental proposal, and SCA's development proposal is proactive and informs. Basically, EIA is project specific, whereas SCA is the policy we have to so EIA usually it is done at the end of decision making process, therefore we call it a reactive approach, whereas the SCA it is done at the earlier stage of decision making process, it is proactive approach. So EIA identifies the specific impacts in the environment, and whereas SCA addresses issues of sustainable development, right? And then this EIA assesses the direct impacts and benefits, and whereas SCA assesses cumulative impacts of all the developmental projects and identifies implications and issues for sustainable development. EIA focuses on mitigation of impacts, whereas SCA focuses on maintaining a chosen level of environmental quality. EIA narrow perspective and high level of details, whereas in SIA there is wide perspective and low level of detail to provide the vision and overall framework. Now, EIA, it focuses on project specific, as I have already mentioned earlier, that it focuses on project specific impacts, whereas SCA, it creates the framework against which impacts and benefits can be measured. Now, coming to the definitions of EIA. Definitions, if we talk about the definitions of EIA, there are two definitions widely accepted globally, globally indicating the nature of process and assessment of impacts of planned activity on environment. It is given by United Nations, whereas it is a systematic process of identifying the future consequences of of a current or proposed action. It by International Association for Impact Assessment. So, if we talk about the environmental impact assessment, is a formal process for identifying likely effects of activities of the project on environment and on the human health and welfare, means and measures to mitigate the monitor these impacts. Environment is broadly interpreted physical, biological, and social. In EIA, the term impact is used instead of effect of the activities. Now, these are the different definitions, as I have already discussed. The EIA is defined as the systematic process to identify. Now, the earlier discussed definition, that was by the United Nations as well as the International Association for Impact Assessment. In India, the apt description has been given by the Center for Science and Environment, CSE. It says that EIA can be defined as the systematic process to identify, predict, and evaluate the environmental effects of proposed actions and project. This process is applied prior to major decisions and commitments being made, and the particular attention is given in EIA practice to prevention, mitigation, and offsetting the significant adverse impacts of proposed undertakings. Now, what is impact? The impact of an activity is the deviation, any change from the baseline situation that is caused by activity. For example, there is any change due to developmental activity, for example, hydropower project, road construction, and industrialization, and any developmental activity that make any this changed in the surrounding, that is called impact. Impact may be positive, it may be negative, right? The baseline situation is existing environmental situation or condition in the absence of activity. The baseline situation is the key concept in EIA. To measure impact, you must know what are the baseline situation is. Therefore, the baseline, knowing the baseline situation of existing environmental situation or condition is very important. Now, talking about the sustainable development, it is the main objective and main motive of EIA, right? So, what is sustainable development? It is the development in such a way, the use of resources in such a way that fulfills the present needs without compromising the needs of future generation. So, sustainable development is built on three basic premises, that is economic growth, ecological balance, and social progress. If there is a there are three pillars, we can say three pillars of sustainable development: social development, economic development, and environmental development. They should go hand in hand with each other. So therefore, the sustainable development is one of the important process in EIA. The aims and objectives of EIA can be divided into two categories. The immediate aim of EIA is to inform in process of decision making by identifying the potentially significant environmental effects and risk of developmental proposals. Next is the long term aim of EIA is to promote sustainable development by ensuring that the development proposal do not undermine critical resource and ecological functions or the well-being, lifestyle, and livelihood of communities and people who depends on them. Now, the core values of EIA. There are three core values of EIA, that is integrity, utility, and sustainability. So, sustainability, the EIA process should be fair, objective, unbiased, and balanced. Utility, the EIA process should provide balanced, credible information for decision making. And sustainability, the EIA process should result in environmental safeguard. Now, coming to EIA process in India. If we talk about the environmental legislation in India, So environmental legislation came into existence in 80s with the enactment of Environment Protection Act in 1986 in India. However, the administrative process of obtaining environmental clearance from central government for the large industrial projects continued till 1994, when the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, under power conferred by EPA, promulgated EIA notification and made obtaining environmental clearance mandatory for several projects, as new as well as existing one, for their expansion and modernization. Right now, the first EIA notification was on 27 January 1994. Since 1994, there have been 12 amendments made to the notification. Before EIA notification in 2006 was notified by MOEF and CC, that superseded all the previous notification and amendments. This 2006 notification has also undergone the several amendments over last 14 years, and new draft EIA notification 2020 has been floated for the public opinion and comments, that is meant to incorporate the amendments and court orders issued since 2006, that we'll discuss in detail. Now, coming to, if we talk about the EIA 1994, the environment impact process was initiated to Indian legal system in 1994 when when EIA notification came into existence. The objective of notification was to push more sustainable industrialization process in the country after giving due consideration to environment and social impacts. The notification specified the type of project proposal needed for environmental clearance, thus would require conduct EIA. The act made it mandatory for all the projects listed in Schedule 1 to get the environmental clearance from the central government, be it for setting expanding any plant anywhere in the country. The notification also made provision for information and impact assessment agency, which essentially considered of experts of review of the documents submitted for the MOEF and CC for clearance. It defines the roles and responsibilities of impact assessment agency and has fixed time frame for various stages of environmental clearance processes. Now, coming to amendments, there were different amendments, as I have already mentioned, that there was 12 amendments which was made after a notification, EIA notification 1994. These are the different in amendments. I will not go into detail. I'll just read the highlighted ones, which are important ones. So, amendment on 10th April 1997, the State Pollution Control Board were entrusted to conduct the public hearing to get views and concerns of the affected community and interested parties for the proposed project under this amendment. Now, coming to amendment on June 13, 2002, this amendment duties the purpose of notification exempting many industries, and it exempted pipeline and highway projects for preparing EIA reports, but these projects would have to conduct public hearing in all the district through which the pipeline of the highway passes. The number of projects were totally exempted from the notification if the investment was less than rupees 100 crore for the new projects and less than 50 crore for the expansion and modernization project. No EIA was required for the modernization project in irrigation sector if additional command area was less than 10,000 hectares of the project cost, or the project cost was less than 100 crore. Next amendment was on 28th February 2003. It took into consideration of location sensitivity into the environmental clearance process. Now, there are also different amendments. This After that, if we talk about the EIA notification 2006, after 12 amendments, there was a new notification of EIA in 2006. It is to address the limitation in the old EIA notification 1994. Therefore, the various modifications have been incorporated in the old notification, which the ministry claims have to done after taking into account and feedback from the different stakeholders. The categorization of projects under EIA notification. Now, what was the EIA notification 2006? The broad criteria for categorization of project scale was scale of impact, severity of impact, nature of location. The category, the now the project has been divided into category A and category B project. Category A projects are cleared by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change on the recommendation of expert appraisal committee to be constituted by the central government, right? Now, category B projects. B projects are cleared by the state expert appraisal committee on the recommendation of state or union territory level expert appraisal committee as to be constituted for this notification. Again, category B, we have category B1 and category B2. Category B2 means minor project which does not require the EIA process, right? In category B1, that requires the EIA environmental clearance from state, right? In the absence of duly constituted this SEIAA or SEAC, a category B project shall be treated as a central level and category level as category A project. Now coming to the very important part of most important, I would say, past part of this EIA, requirement of prior environmental clearance. Which projects require EC? The projects refers to central government, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, are falling under category A, and projects refers to its state uh, SEIAA are falling under category B, right? The following activities require environmental clearance. All new projects or activities listed in schedule to this notification. Expansion and modernization of existing projects or activities listed in the schedule to this notification. Any change in the product mix in an existing manufacture unit included in the schedule, it will be required by environmental clearance, right? Now coming to application applicability of general conditions. Whole or part within 5 kilometers from from the boundary of protected area under notified under Wildlife Act 1972, critically polluted area as defined by CPCB, eco sensitive areas as notified under section 3 of EPA 1986, interstate boundaries and international boundaries, right? Now coming to SEIAA. Now, what is state level environmental impact assessment authority? SEIAA shall be constituted by the central government, comprising of 3 members, chairman and the member secretary to be nominated by the state government or the union territory administration. The rules for the membership of SEIAA, that is, all decisions of SEIAA shall be unanimously and taken in a meeting, right? And it is constituted generally for the period of this committee is constituted generally for the period of 3 years. Now, expert committee for screening, scoping and appraisal, EAC and SCA. The central committee as central and state level will be screen, scope and appraise the project into category A and B. The committee meet at least once in a month. The EAC and SEAC shall constitute after every 3 years. Again, the EIAA and SEIAA, EAC and SCA, the tenure of this committee is for 3 years. Now, what happens in this process after the recommendation of EAC and SEAC? The decision will be taken by the EIAA and SEIAA. The authorized member of EAC and SEAC may inspect any site connected with the project or activity for the purpose of screening, scoping, and appraisal with prior notice of 7 days. The EAC and SEAC shall function on the principle of collective responsibility. Now coming to application for prior environmental clearance. An application seeking prior environmental clearance in all cases shall be made after notification of proposed prospective sites, after identification of activities in the prescribed Form 1 and supplementary Form 1A, and submit pre-feasibility report for all and conceptual plan for construction activities.